Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's largest entrepreneurship platform. If it matters to you, we've got it covered right here on the show. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. Tonight, I'm in conversation with Bharatpe to talk about trends in the fintech space. I'm also in a very special conversation speaking with Suresh Kumar of the IBPC. Ashneer, good having you on the show here with us tonight. I want to start by talking about 2020 and the year it has been for you personally and professionally.
So 2020, like for most industries, has been a mixed bag, even for the fintech industry. I think the immediate impact of the COVID was a drop in transactions in April and May. And that was because the economy itself shrunk by 25%. And therefore, people did not know whether they should be spending or they should be saving for a rainy day. And they decided to sort of save it for a rainy day, and there were lesser transactions happening. But what happened when the lockdown started getting lifted is people automatically gravitated towards digital because they saw it as the most contactless way of paying, and therefore the safest mode of paying in the COVID environment. And therefore, if you look at UPI transactions as a barometer, UPI transactions actually initially fell from 1.2 billion to zero point 0.9 billion, and thereafter grew almost 2.5 times to 2.2 billion, ending November in 2.2 billion. So yeah, payments has had a very good run with COVID acting as a tailwind. The government went very populist and introduced the measure of a moratorium on loans. Now, for any lender, any government
Okay,
diktat where the government says if you pay
sure.
back, it's okay. Even if you don't pay back, it's okay,
Okay.
is not good for business. So I think the lending businesses, especially the ones who had significant books already built, are feeling the heat, and therefore they are not disbursing further. The good thing for Bharatpe, incidentally, is while we have grown almost twice at twice the pace of UPI itself, so we have actually grown 4x in the period. UPI has grown 2.5x. More importantly, our lending business from August onwards has just bloomed. So now we are one of the largest lenders in the market among fintechs, especially in the SME segment, and we are lending 100 to 125 crores every month now.
Ashneer, you were in the news of late for toppling Google Pay to overtaking really Google Pay. And my question is, how do you ensure that you have enough capacity inbuilt for such a surge? How do you ensure that you're moving and responding quickly to these changes that are taking place?
It's a great question. Actually, if you look at our space, which is UPI, in some sense, it is hyper competitive.
Okay,
Because if I
okay.
look at what I have for competition, it's probably the five biggest tech companies with the biggest cash balances that I'm competing against. So you have to be really, on the street and ahead of everyone. I think we've done a few things which have led to for us to be successful despite the odds. One of the things is we are clearly ahead of most people in our understanding of UPI architecture. So we have strategically stayed away from going on the consumer side. We understood the UPI architecture really well and restricted our operations to the merchant size because we believe that's essentially where anyone can make money. So why waste money fighting for the consumer business when you can actually make money on the merchant side? The other thing we have done well is we have realized that the small shopkeeper or a small businessman technically
Sure.
does not need tech to do his business, right? You cannot teach him new ways of doing business. He will adopt them for sure, but he will adopt things which are going to change his life. For us, what changes his life is actually financial services, especially access to capital. So while we have a set of distractors who like to pull us into VAS and SaaS and other jazzy things, we are very clear that we are here to make the merchant accept payments and in the process either lend to him or make him save money and earn interest for him. And I think that is the secret recipe. It's just the focus and our conviction that what we are doing is the only thing which will work in India.
I understand you bootstrapped when you started out. Give us a sense of why that is, and also, have the rules of the game really been rewritten as we speak in the new normal? And what should someone who's looking to raise funds really know?
We unlike so the market has changed drastically. So if you were a second time founder, a 20 25 million dollar seed round is it seems to be the new normal. But you have to understand, where when I started, I had more disbelievers than believers, because what I was stacking up against was a $16 billion Paytm and a $10 billion phone pay 2 years back. So a lot of investors were had this feeling of incredulity, saying makes immense sense, the product works, but you're going to get squashed. So we never got big money initially. My
Okay.
first fundraise was actually a 2 crore rupee fundraise. In fact, it was 1.9 crore fundraise from friend and family. And the way I went about it is, I said that if I fail, I'll sell one of my properties and pay them back. And that's where we started from. My wife actually paid a couple of salary bills even after we had done our Series A. So yeah, we've had money coming in tough initially. I think now the way I think about capital is a lot different than I used to previously. Um, I don't think of it as a cause of celebration or anything which changes fundamentally things on the ground. Of course, any internet needs business needs capital. Any lending business needs capital as a raw material, and therefore we will be in the market at all points of time to raise capital. So for me, raising money is now a 6 month or 6 month frequency exercise that I have to do, and it's like purchasing raw material, right? It's not. I don't see it as anything else than simply going out and purchasing raw material, because I need that raw material to lend out to the merchants.
Talk to us about whether lending in urban areas is very different from lending to rural India. What are the differences? If yes, your model, like you were telling us, is so different. So just give us some insights based on that.
Yes, I think the basic thesis of our business is very simple, that in India, most retail businesses are very low margin. So in India, businesses have typically 12 to 15% gross margins, as against 35% plus gross margins in developed economies. So therefore, for a small businessman or a shopkeeper to give you any commission from his thin margin is actually a criminal activity for him. It's a so they're always reluctant to pay, and this is something which is ingrained in me. I completely understand that a businessman would try to squeeze you on any service charge that you charge him, but at the same time, India is a capital deficient economy. Everyone needs capital to do business. Therefore, the propensity to pay interest rates on capital given is rather high. And therefore, the basic thesis is that lending as a business in India will always outperform any other business. And even if you step back and look at banking over the last 25 years, banking got privatized 25 years back, roughly, give or take, and so did retail. But if you look at, you have some really big banks which have private sector banks which have become even bigger than the public sector banks. But retail has not become organized, or it's not been cornered by one player. And therefore, that is the thesis, that is exactly what's going to happen even in the digital space. Lending as a business is going to outgrow commerce as a business digitally. On the small shopkeepers, I think I would not comment about the urban versus rural. I would rather comment on a small versus a big business, right? So you have to understand, a small shopkeeper, he's technically shut from taking any money from the bank. And the reason for that is he is busy solving
Sure.
100 problems in a day. He does not have time to create his P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, IT returns, GST returns, which is the prerequisite to even have a conversation with a bank. And therefore, by definition, banks only end up lending to big businesses and more of manufacturing businesses. The retail business is a trading business, right? And a small business at the core of it. There are 2.5 crore retail front shops in India doing this business. So for that guy, you just need to create cash flow visibility to lend to him. And that's what our QR does. So what the QR does is put us in his cash flow, basis which we can lend to him smarter and make it easier for him to repay us as well. And that's how we are going about our business.
As far as the payment space is concerned, Ashneer, demonetization was that one big wave, the first one, that really gave an entire push to this industry. And then, of course, we've had the pandemic. Are you expecting any short term further disruptions to the industry, to the business model?
I think my biggest next bet would be WhatsApp Pay growing UPI. Because if you look at it, WhatsApp as a product is probably the most trusted and most used product by individuals in India on their mobile device. There are 400 million users of WhatsApp. UPI genuinely would have only roughly 100 million users. Right? Now you're talking about one player who has 4x numbers than the whole industry combined. So I think WhatsApp being allowed into UPI and that gaining steam would be the theme for the next phase of growth, at least in 2021.
For someone watching this interview, your advice based on your own personal insights and takeaways, and going forward into 2021, what would you like to tell them?
My advice to people is that go to the market and figure out what will work and what will not work. I think a lot of people are now getting into entrepreneurship because it seems cool. It seems like a shot at big money and a lot of fame along with it. But I think what people do not realize is that there are at least 99 failure cases for every success case out there. And those failure cases are not talked about, so people don't know about it. And most of the failures happen because you're not doing something for the right reason, right? My advice to everyone would be figure out the market, figure out what your customer needs. It's not about replicating what has worked in China and the US. India is a very, very different market. It has a next level of nuances, which actually, if you get your arms around, becomes your biggest moat, right? No one sitting in the US can figure out how an Indian merchant will behave. That you can probably figure out better because you go to the shops, you interact with these guys, you know what works for them, what does not work for them.
Thanks so much for your time, Ashneer. Let's slip into a short break on that note. On the other side, a very special focus on the Dubai market. I'm in conversation with Suresh Kumar of IBPC. We are back in just a moment. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow Weekend Edition. Tonight, I'm in conversation with Suresh Kumar of IBPC as we're turning the spotlight on the Dubai market. Suresh, starting out where you did and where you are now, give our viewers a sense of your own entrepreneurial journey and what that has been like.
Right. My personal and professional journey, in a sense, I mean, lots of parallels between Dubai's own growth trajectory. I arrived in Dubai in September 1979, which is, well over 45 years now. And, I arrived in 79 to raise money, project finance, for some of the projects that were in the pipeline then. One was an aluminum smelter, desalination of water, and the power project combined. It was an integrated project, and we were raising the equivalent of $1.8 billion. I went back into banking in 1985. So And then there was no looking back. Over the years, I became, held a number of positions in treasury, credit, capital markets, remedial management, and the whole gamut of banking and financial sector operations. Set up the investment bank, set up the asset management company, and a number of that. So, in a sense, my professional journey coincided with Dubai's own growth as an entrepreneur, as a hub for financial services, as a trading and capital flows hub as well. So there was a lot of parallel in that sense. And then that was the time I also set up the Indian Business Council. And then we merged a few other business councils and made it Indian Business and Professional Council.
IBPC, I understand, has been in existence since 2003, spearheading really India-UAE relations. So can you tell us a little more about the work that you do and how you're so integral really to the work that's happening out of the region?
In addition to creating a strong network of both the Emirati and Indian companies based here, Indian businesses, Indian professionals, senior professionals based here, we also engaged with their counterparts in India to make sure that there was a continuing dialogue, and some specific initiatives I think would be interesting. For instance, DP World, which is the largest investor from Dubai in India, it is committed to invest up to $3 billion US dollars. Along with DP World, we supported an initiative of theirs, which is known as the UAE-India Bridge, which helps, especially from a trading perspective, efficient end-to-end solutions for both importers, exporters in both geographies. And Dubai, as you know, is a large re-exporting hub. So this tremendous initiative caters very well to taking that to a much higher level. We also supported specifically the SME sector by making sure that capital flows from here, both FDI and FPI flows, are adequately stepped up. And so the investment flows has become another area where IBPC would like to play an even stronger role.
I want to talk to you about the Dubai Strategic Plan 2021. What more can you tell our viewers on that?
Yes, the Dubai Strategic Plan 2021 was actually put together in the year 2015. It was very interestingly, it's a very comprehensive plan with 6 themes, broadly 6 themes. One is people, this, to ensure that it will become a city of happy, creative, empowered people. One is the society, to make sure it's an inclusive and cohesive society. And the third is experience, making sure that Dubai is the preferred place to live, work, and visit. Fourth is the place, a smart and sustainable city, continuously reinvested. Fifth is the economy, to be a pivotal hub in the global economic landscape. And sixth, of course, the government, a pioneering and excellent government services focused initiative. So these were the 6 broad plans, and within that, interestingly, each of these were then broken up into specific key performance indicators, KPIs.
Sure.
It was a measurable, well-monitored strategic plan, which then every governmental department or government-owned entity was then tasked to develop specific initiatives to achieve this year after year.
In the past couple of months, Dubai, I understand, has been launching several initiatives really to try and ease doing work in the region, to try and attract more and more people to enter to set up business there. If you can talk to us about a few of those initiatives, and more specifically, if you can talk to us about IBPC and what you are doing when it comes to really educating people who are looking to set up shop in the region.
I think in terms of new measures, practically every other month there is a new initiative aimed at making it better and more effective. Let's look at a few specific things. Ease of doing business is almost a watchword on a daily basis for the government of Dubai and its various units.
Sure.
Ease of doing business is translated in terms of making sure that it's an efficient process to start a new business. You can practically do it at the click of a button. In terms of also, there are no restrictions at all in terms of staffing, in terms of the requirements from the banks, in terms of credit support and the like. All of this is made sure under a program focused on foreign direct investments. Scientists, technologists are given a 10-year visa. So, and this is to allow them to do what they wish to do research. It's not directed very closely or prescriptively. Similarly, more recently, there has been a retirement visa given. This is to attract high quality professionals, businessmen to come and set up homes in Dubai, make Dubai their home. Okay. From a business perspective, the landscape is now very conducive. 100% foreign ownership is permitted across most sectors.
Sure.
And so the process has been made very simple. So it's a question of walking the talk. It's making sure that what has been announced is quickly followed up and delivered.
All right, a last question then to anyone watching today's interview about what advice you'd want to give them.
I think one piece of advice is to do the homework and to continuously assess the competitive landscape that Dubai is. It is easy to set up a business and do it, but it's also a very competitive landscape in the sense that entrepreneurs from around the world have come and set up shop here, have come and started businesses, have come and set up their professional firms or set up industries and the like. The area that in terms of research, pre-research before becoming an entrepreneur, wanting to set up something on the ground in Dubai is to assess where are opportunities and where are competitive advantages that an entrepreneur will have coming from India. For instance, areas such as, for instance, biotech, health tech, fintech, in the technology space, I think there is very good opportunity on the ground here. Similarly, areas such as, as I said, food security, pharma security, in terms of setting up pharmaceuticals, making sure that vaccination syringes are made, for instance, or for that matter, even in the healthcare space, there are significant opportunities there because Dubai is growing rapidly. So in every sector, I think that assessment and homework would be very critical, very important.
All right, Suresh. Such a pleasure talking to you here on the show. We've run completely out of time. If you have any feedback for us, our contact details is up on your screens as we speak. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.